So in my most recent video, I talked about using the iPhone 14 Pro for 3 months. And if you watched that one, you'll recall I said, it's a good phone, but if you're considering it, I would really lean towards something in the 13 series. Well, I must listen to myself and take my own advice because I have downgraded to an iPhone 13 from the iPhone 14 Pro. Not only did I get a 13, I got the 13 mini. And I'm gonna tell you why. But before I do that, I need to tell you a little bit about today's sponsor. Just kidding, there's no sponsor for this video. Don't skip ahead, don't click off. I need to tell you a bit about what I used before using the 14 Pro. I came from the 12 mini. You can go check out that video up in the corner, the original review that I did for it. That phone was awesome. I came from a 10s Max to the 12 mini and I love the form factor, I love the size. And I thought it was great. It was everything I needed. It was a functional tool. The battery life was okay. But it was a great phone. Fast forward to the 14 Pro coming out, and it had so many features that, were just great marketing material. The cameras and the dynamic island was new. I think it's pretty gimmicky now that I've gotten over the hype of it. But I mean, I got the phone, and after using it for a while, I was like, boy, you just come to realize it's still an iPhone at the end of the day. The software experience is the same. It makes calls, it texts, it does the same thing my other phone did. And you realize those features that you thought were gonna be life-changing actually really are not. So after a while, I really started thinking about it, and it was a heavy phone, much heavier than the mini series. I mean, even the 13 mini is heavier than the 12 mini. It was heavier, it was clunky. I'm like, it's not as much of a joy to use. And what it really came down to for me was, am I willing to sacrifice ergonomics for extra features that I might use? Am I willing to put up with a bigger, heavier phone because it has better battery and another camera that I might use for day-to-day use? And the answer was no. I'm like, I have my Sony that I use if I want to take a nice photo. If I need to snap a photo on my phone, I'm not really too concerned about which lens I'm using because I don't use it that way. And then the battery life wasn't an issue for me either because I'll plug my phone in on the way to work for CarPlay. I plug it in on the way home, so I'm charging for at least an hour a day between there and back. I can plug it in at work if I need to. The battery life is just not an issue. I was ending the day on the 14 Pro with like 60-70% battery. I'm like, I'm not a power user where I'm going to be using it and blowing through it like that. So it just really came down to like, all right, if I'm gonna get rid of it, I might as well sell it now while I can still get top dollar for it. I was way out of the return period, of course, but I sold it, got top dollar for it as much as I possibly could, and then went and bought a renewed iPhone 13 mini from Amazon, actually, of all places. And I'll do a separate video, kind of my experience on that. But I got a 256 gigabyte in green, of course, because you gotta have that green. It's just sweet. And I got the mini, and I've honestly been loving it. It's been a joy to use. I had both of them for a while, and I was comparing and trying out the mini to see if it's something that I really wanted to jump into again. And it's a joy to use. Like picking up the mini and using it, just like it was just refreshing. It was fun. I just loved it. It was a little hard to go back to the 60 hertz refresh rate as opposed to the 120 on the 14 Pro because I'm somebody that notices that. But when you're not holding them side by side like you're not supposed to do, you don't even notice a difference. And honestly, after getting rid of the 14 Pro and just having this, just jumping all into the 13 mini, I was like, okay, this is it. This is great. And it's a sweet phone. I haven't had any issues with it. The battery is noticeably worse than the 14 Pro, I will admit, but it's much better than the 12 mini was. So I was already used to having to charge when I got the 14 Pro, and I still plug in and charge most of the time anyway. But I mean, right now it's 11:10 a.m. I've been up probably since about 4:30 this morning with kids waking up, and I'm at 84% battery. I haven't charged it yet. I'm just light use here and there. And it's been a fantastic phone, honestly. I use it for calls, texts, emails, social media consumption, YouTube. I even play games with it. I've been really getting into Apex Legends mobile, and it does just fine. Like ergonomically, it's easy to hold. It fits in my pocket well. I have no complaints about the 13 mini because I think this is a pitfall that many of us, myself included, get into every fall when Apple releases their new products is, oh, they're so shiny and they're new and You know, the new camera is marginally better and the battery is marginally better, but here's a gimmicky feature that we'll give you to get you to upgrade. Initially, those things are awesome, but at the end of the day, when you're like, man, you know, that's a $1,300 phone, $1,200 phone, my 14 Pro was. Like, I could sell it for $1,000+ and buy something that's like 500, 600, pocket $400 or $500 and get the same exact software experience, same exact user experience. I don't miss a single thing about the 14 Pro. Kind of a no-brainer situation. So that's really all it is at the end of the day. Is this to me is a tool. All technology is a tool. I think it's fantastic. Obviously, it's what my channel is about. I'm a tech nerd just like anybody else that's watching this. And so I totally get it. But at the end of the day, you just need something that's gonna work. At least for me, I just need something that's gonna work. It's gonna make calls, it's gonna be reliable, and more importantly, be ergonomic. I can fit it in my pocket, I can throw it in a bag, I can hold it without my hand getting fatigued. You know, that little pinky hold, this little guy here, this little pinky, that gets awfully fatiguing on the bigger phones. And I can reach all four corners of the screen. It's much easier, much nicer. I've been loving it. I've fallen in love with it, and that's why I've gone back to the 13 mini. I wouldn't even call this a downgrade. I would call it an upgrade because in my book, the real value is ergonomics and ease of use. And with a bigger phone, you sacrifice ergonomics and ease of use for the sake of better consumption, longevity of battery. And to me, that's not a good trade-off. So to me, it's an upgrade. To other people, might not be. But thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.